So Nancy Pelosi will be House Speaker again. She won by a very slim margin because the Democrats in the House under Pelosi's leadership have decreased the majority that they have in the House. And look at the headline of this article. Every member of the squad voted to re-elect Nancy Pelosi as House Speaker. So none of them in actuality were actually down with holding Nancy Pelosi's feet to the fire at all for force the vote or any other thing. Should we start maybe calling them the fraud squad? I'm just putting that out there. And so this is what AOC said. She not want to risk giving Republicans the speakership due to the slim majority. Again, one of the reasons they have such a slim majority in the House because of the failings of Nancy Pelosi. She's been the House Speaker there for the Democrats since 2003. There were only 5 Democrats who did not vote for Pelosi, none of them of which are in the squad. So here's AOC trying to explain away why she wasn't willing to hold Nancy Pelosi accountable to get anything for her constituents or anything of substance for the other working people in the United States. A complete abject failure, in my opinion. What good is it if you say you're for Medicare for all if you're not actually willing to fight party leadership to get a vote on that? It's just window dressing. You could say you're for it, but you're not doing actually anything to make that a reality. When we're in a pandemic, there's not going to be more political will probably at any other time than we have right now. It's ridiculous. Well, I think when you look at the razor thin margin, we're just an extremely slim amount of votes away from risking the speakership to the Republican Party, and that is, it's bigger than any one of us, and it's consequential. Yeah, you know what's bigger than any one of you while Congress just voted to double their healthcare expenditures, the tens of millions of people who have lost their jobs during this pandemic and as a result lost their healthcare? Maybe fight for that. And there wouldn't be such a razor slim margin. It's fucking ridiculous. But I also think it's important that we realize that the kind of communities, and all of the communities that creates democratic power. What the fuck? I mean, again, Nancy Pelosi, the same person who knew about all the fucked up shit George Bush did, all the lies and everything to get into the Iraq war. She knew about that, but didn't want to impeach him because Clinton had been impeached and thought that would not look good for the country. This is who the fraud squad is propping up. It's ridiculous. This is the so-called opposition party. I mean, get the fuck out of here. What opposition? I mean, Jesus Christ. So there's just some of the other people who vote. Yeah, so she was reelected on that very slim margin. And guess what? During her leadership is when the Democratic majority has shrank. Don't you think maybe that's because of some of Nancy Pelosi's failings and being such a corporate neoliberal hack? I mean, for fuck's sake. The vote was closer than expected due to the Democrats' small majority, which falls on Pelosi. She's been the speaker since 2003. I mean, for God's sake. Yeah, Pelosi has led House Democrats since 2003, and this is the smallest majority they've had. I think it's maybe time for this 100 millionaire to get the fuck out of the way. I mean, Jesus Christ. But again, nobody's, the so-called squad, not willing to hold her accountable whatsoever. It's disgusting. And then you have Jamal Bowman, who went on CNN last week and said, yeah, I'm not willing to commit yet to if I'm going to vote for Pelosi for speaker. I got to make sure it makes sense for my community. And then didn't seem to get anything, but ended up voting for her anyway. So again, just more window dressing. Talk about these lofty things, but when the rubber hits the road, it's just the same falling in with the establishment and the status quo. You don't get any change by doing that. So here's Bowman. Our country needs stability right now, and it's really important for the Democratic Party to come together. Why does the Democratic Party need to come together when there's supposedly a progressive wing with the Squad and other folks, members of the Progressive Caucus, and then you have neoliberal centrists like Nancy Pelosi leading it? It seems like that's a pretty big gap to want to come together with. What makes no fucking sense. I mean, Jesus Christ. Oh, there you go. And then every member, all of the members in this photo voted for Speaker Pelosi. Sheeta Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, there's Jamal Bowman, AOC, Cori Bush, Ayanna Pressley. Again, what's the point of having so-called progressives or people that like to label themselves social democrats or democratic socialists like AOC in Congress if they're not actually willing to stand up to the completely inept and corrupt party leadership who's never willing to stand up and do the right thing for the working class? Like, again, this would have been a perfect moment to show Democratic leadership, in this case Pelosi, that fuck you, you're not getting my vote until you come out and publicly pledge to support bringing Medicare for All vote to the floor and to get voted on. You can fuck off. I mean, again, I think it was Frederick Douglass who said, "Power concedes nothing without a demand." What did they get? Nothing. Because they weren't asking for anything. Again, it's like politics. It's not that difficult. And then, so look at what Bowman's saying. He is very, very confident that progressive priorities like Medicare for All and the Green New Deal will be brought to the floor. Really? So these behind-the-scenes conversations, Bowman's saying, well, yeah, I'm very confident Pelosi will bring Medicare for All and Green New Deal to the floor for a vote. There's no public pledge of that. What's to actually hold her account? I mean, she says, maybe she said that. Maybe she gave Bowman that impression, but I'm not holding my breath, because Nancy Pelosi is a centrist hack worth $100 million and completely and utterly disconnected from the material conditions that have just deteriorated for a vast majority of the working class in the United States since this pandemic began. And again, before that, it was already very, very distressing in terms of income inequality, climate change, people shackled with student loan debt, people not having access to health care. And he's very, very confident that those things will be brought to the floor. I hope he's right, but frankly, I think he is way more confident in Nancy Pelosi doing those things than we should be. Again, she has no reason to. She's already became speaker. Nobody was willing to actually hold their feet to the fire and force the vote. So we'll see, but again, the Squad kind of coming into 2020 with a whimper, and again, you're not willing to stand up to party leadership for the good of the voters, for Medicare for All, for forcing a vote on that when you say that's something you support. How are you any different than Pelosi in that regard? I mean, you're not getting us any closer to Medicare for All. Neither is Nancy Pelosi. Share your thoughts down below. Subscribe for more content. Peace. Much love.